President Barack Obama is in the midst of the opening of his presidential library. You've seen this thing. It looks like a monolith from 2001, The Space Odyssey. It looks like the aliens are about to emerge from it and take control. It's in Chicago, so maybe they could use a little bit of order there. Barack Obama is now doing a publicity tour for the library, and he has very, very grave concerns about the future of the Republican Party. And I don't know about you, but as a Republican, if I want to know what's best for my party, I'm always going to take the advice of Barack Obama, right? All right, we'll get to that in a minute. But when asked about the future of the Democrats right now, Democrats, they're about to nominate in Michigan a guy who embraces Hamas, right? They just nominated or elected a Marxist in New York who wants government control of our industry. They just had Kamala Harris, who had more money than any presidential candidate in history and lost in a clean sweep against Donald Trump. Does he have any worries about the Democrats? No, not a bit. They're right where he wants them to be.
With respect to Democrats, I'm not as worried about this so-called rift between the left and liberals, as you describe it, because I think that within the Democratic Party, and I would argue a bunch of independents and even some Republicans as well, there's an overarching belief in equality, fairness. If you work, you should be able to make a living wage and support a family and retire with dignity and respect. And we should not allow companies to just run roughshod over the rights of workers. There are a bunch of things that we agree on.
This is classic Obama because he's saying things that these are things that we agree on as Democrats. Republicans agree with those things too. Normal human beings with any sort of higher values and faith and morals believe in all of those things. That's not the point. This is so classic of him to throw out all these bromides and all of these platitudes. It's like, this is what we believe. That's not it. The devil, and I do mean literally, the devil is in the details. How do you achieve those things? How do you get those things that you say? Because we all believe in the same thing. I'll give you a perfect example. We all believe that we want a clean environment, right? 100% we want a clean environment. But how do you get there? By having the government regulate every single aspect of your business and corporations and industry and your personal living and how you cut your grass and how you water your grass and what kind of car you're allowed to drive? Or do you allow the free market to actually advance based on market demands and based on the ideals that we as a society hold our corporations up to? The fact of the matter is, when President Trump deregulates things at the federal level, we actually have a healthier and cleaner environment. Just look at the numbers. It's 100% true. We all agree on these things. The question is, how do we get there? Yes, we want people who work hard to be able to earn a living wage and be able to pay their bills. But whenever they're in charge, it doesn't happen. Whenever Republicans are in charge and the free market can flourish, it does happen. All right. We'll let Obama continue here because he's not concerned about Democrats. Nothing to worry about.
And it's really more of a question of, all right, what are the specific things that we have to do? You look at somebody like Mamdani, who I think is an extraordinary talent. He wants people to be able to afford housing in New York. Well, I would assume liberals in New York want the same thing. And so I don't worry as much about some of these.
Whoa. What about people being able to afford a house at Martha's Vineyard? What about people being able to afford a house on your vast property that you've purchased in Maui? Why is it just New York City? And by the way, have you seen public housing? We've had public housing in New York for decades. They're slums. The projects, people can afford to live in New York. It's just garbage because the government built it and the government runs it. But what about government provided affordable housing on your back lawn in Martha's Vineyard? See, that he doesn't talk about. That he doesn't want to talk about. What about in the neighborhood where you've just taken over a park in the south side of Chicago to build your narcissistic monument to yourself? That he doesn't want to talk about. All right, that's fine. Mamdani is a talent. Yeah, sure he is. He's a talent. What about what he believes? What about his policies? He's praising Mamdani because he gets to win and gain power. And that's really all he's talking about here, is what Democrats need to do to win so they get power.
These issues within the Democratic Party. What I'm more interested in for Democrats is, do you know how to just talk to regular people like we're not in a college seminar, right? Can you talk plain English to folks about?
I think that's one of the powers that Mamdani has.
That's correct.
Is that he also, not only does he talk like a normal person, but he lives a normal life, but he names what is obviously wrong.
Yes.
And he goes, we should change that thing.
That doesn't make any sense, and not have a bunch of gobbledygook around it. And so what I'm looking for.
Is there a strict no gobbledygook?
No gobbledygook.
Here you should carve that into the wall somewhere of the Obama Center.
You know what?
No gobbledygook. Just talk.
The building's not completed. I think I'm going to put that somewhere. I'm going to carve it into some of the granite out here.
Yeah, that's great. No gobbledygook. In fact, you could put it right next to the enshrined copy of the Affordable Care Act, which we called Obamacare, which is about a couple thousand pages of bureaucratic gobbledygook. I'm sorry, the gaslighting is despicable here. Barack Obama is lecturing people about talking like a normal person and not sounding like you're giving a professorial lecture. Okay, two things about this. First of all, again, classic Obama. You know, our problem is that we're just too intelligent for our own good. That's our problem. We all sound like college professors and we're giving a lecture because we're just so freaking smart. We got to dumb our message down for the masses. He can't help himself. But number two, if you go back and listen to anybody who comments on Barack Obama's speeches or his press conferences, the biggest criticism of him is that he conducted them like a college professor giving a lecture. That's who he is. And now he's claiming that that's what Democrats have to learn better about. They need to talk in real plain English. By the way, if that's the hallmark of a great politician, have you seen the guy who's sitting in the White House right now? Because he kind of talks in very frank terms, doesn't he? Hey, he sort of cuts through the garbage and just sort of tells it like it is. But I'm told, oh, we can't have that. That's hate speech, right? All right. So now we get to the part where Barack Obama is going to express his grave concerns about the Republican Party. Because again, as a Republican, if you're a Republican, what you need to do is change everything you do to make sure that Barack Obama approves of you, because trust me, Barack Obama has your best interests at heart. Barack Obama wants Republicans to excel. Barack Obama wants Republicans to win, right? So yes, by all means, let's listen to his advice for Republicans.
You're right. The Presidential Center is nonpartisan. And the reason I want to mention that is because I'm worried about the Republican Party, not just the Democratic Party. When I was president, people would ask me, well, what change would you like to see in Washington? I'd say, I'd love a loyal opposition. I'd love a Republican Party that was conservative in some ways, that didn't agree with me on a whole bunch of stuff, but believed in rule of law and judicial independence and empirical evidence and science, and wasn't constantly tapping into our worst impulses. And there has been a Republican Party like that in the past, and I want to see that returned, because I think you have to have two healthy parties.
Yeah, so I'm no Stephen Colbert, but if I were fortunate enough to engage in this interview and Barack Obama sat across from me like this, that's not going to happen. I would have taken this opportunity to say, oh, that's a great point. Yeah, it would have been great for you to have a loyal opposition with Republicans who did all those things that you say Republicans weren't capable of doing. Excuse me, I just need to put two and two together here. Didn't you run against John McCain and Mitt Romney? And didn't you destroy their characters, their reputations? Didn't you say all those things you claim to be saying about Republicans right now, about we don't believe in empirical evidence and we prey on the worst fears and divisive nature of the American people, and we're just you said all of those things about John freaking McCain and Mitt freaking Romney. The hell are you talking about, sir? Barack Obama is actually the most divisive president of our lifetime. Don't you think otherwise? All right, then Stephen Colbert decided to make the interview all about himself because he's about to be out of work. So he sort of does a humble brag here.
I'm looking for a new gig soon.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of people tell me I should run for president.
Well, you certainly have the look.
Thank you very much.
You have the hair.
Well, for the record, I think it's a stupid idea. How dumb do you think it is for people to say that I should run for president?
Well, the bar has changed.
That is true. That is true. At times subterranean.
So
I don't have to limbo so low.
I put it this way. I think that you could perform significantly better than some folks that we've seen.
All right.
Yeah. I have great confidence in that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Is that an endorsement?
It was not.
Was he talking about Kamala there? I think he may have been talking about Kamala. And he's probably accurate if that's the case. I think that's what. But it does lead us to wonder, who will be the nominee for the Democrats coming up in 2028. And, well, I can't tell you who it's going to be, but I can tell you that Jen Psaki is really excited about the process that's involved here. You see, in the past, the fact of the matter is, in 16 and in 20, Bernie Sanders, by all rights, should have been the nominee. But the party elders stepped in, stipped their thumb. Well, they just forget about their thumb. They jumped up and down with all their weight on the scale and helped their candidate of choice, right? But now the rules have changed, according to Jen Psaki, and now it's wide open, right? Here, just listen.
But what is exciting about it is that you, the people out there, get to choose. There is no, thank God, dark room in Washington where people sit around and they decide here's who the nominee is going to be. Typically, that's not how it happens. It's not how democracy works. There's going to be a whole process, and maybe 30 people run for president. And the thing with Barack Obama is he wants to leave space for that.
Okay, so hold on a second. Did you? There's a lot to unpack here real fast from Peppermint Patty. But the first part.
But what is exciting about
it
is that you, the people out there, get to choose.
Don't wait. Isn't that how it's always supposed to be? I mean, she's making it sound like this is a brand new policy. Hey, everybody. These are the Democrats who always complain that democracy is in danger of being destroyed. And thank God we have a debate. Of course, we're not a democracy. We use democracy to choose our representatives in this constitutional republic. But that's fine. She's now said it's a revelation. Hey, everybody, you get to choose. Yeah, I think we're supposed to instill that quite some time ago in our procedures here in this country, in our system, but that's fine. She's sort of admitting that in the past, I'm sorry, how did it work before?
There is no, thank God, dark room in Washington where people sit around and they decide here's who the nominee is going to be.
Yeah, that's literally what they just did. That is literally how Kamala Harris became the nominee. And frankly, that's literally what they did in 2020 when they all got together because they were terrified that it was going to be Kristen Gillibrand or Pete Buttigieg or, God forbid, Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren. So they decided, all right, we got to go rally around Joe Biden. They literally got it together in a little dark room and decided. And if you believe they're not going to do that next time, well, you're kidding yourself. But thanks for playing, Jen Psaki. Real fast, one other moment since we're talking about Barack Obama. President Trump yesterday, as he was signing the proclamation that would reinstitute the presidential physical fitness test, I had a bunch of kids around him there, and people were saying, wait a second, why don't we do this test anymore? Right? I remember doing this. Kennedy instituted this thing. I remember under Reagan, I did it when I was a kid. Why did we stop? Well, President Trump reminded the kids exactly why it was suspended.
Each other in the presidential fitness test, but others. And then we had the Obama administration. Wonderful, wonderful person. Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him?
Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? Every time he says Barack Hussein Obama, it makes me happy because he's obviously doing a hat tip to the great Rush Limbaugh. And it's a beautiful thing to see. Yes, have you heard of him? Have you heard of him indeed? All right. Well, there it is, Barack Obama and his library. You can go to Chicago to visit it, or you could come here to Washington, see where the real fun is, where the real power is. And for the next couple of days, you can go to the AI Expo, where we've been broadcasting live all day long.